Happy Halloween and happy NFL trade deadline day. Today's morning show with a live show coming up later this afternoon is on all of the latest Dallas Cowboys trade rumors, two names at least emerging nationally, and some trade targets for the Cowboys with hours to go until this year's NFL trade deadline. Now, we have proven verifiably bullying works when it's for the right cause. If you want the Cowboys to make a trade, then like today's video right now. The more likes we get, the more likely it is the Cowboys make a deal in the coming hours. Let's begin with Davante Adams. I'll preface this by saying, probably won't happen in the end. Did you guys watch Monday Night Football? The Raiders are a disaster. They should have lost that game by 40. I don't know how it was so competitive. Adams was clearly unhappy after the game, during the game, and who can blame him? The Raiders are bad, and they are unable to get the ball to Adams despite being wide open. Jimmy Garoppolo, he should have had two 60-plus yard touchdowns. Adams could not connect with them because Jimmy G missed him. This is not what Adams signed up for. This is not why he came to Vegas. He came to Vegas to play with Derek Carr and be on a contender. Now he's playing with a bad quarterback, if we're being honest, and his numbers have plummeted. They've fallen off a cliff relative to Davante Adams' own expectations. You're talking about a guy that has consistently been a 1,500 yard dude with double-digit TDs. Now, he might barely pass 1,000 yards and get like 6 or 7. And it's the quarterback. It's the scheme. Adams is wide open. It is not his fault. So, teams should call. Raiders might say no, but teams should call. And the contract, by the way, immensely doable for Dallas or any other NFL team out there. Adams is owed the pro-rated figure of $6.5 million this year, so call it $3.5. $17.5 million next year. That's fully guaranteed. Non-guaranteed, $35.64 million in 2025 and 2026. If I were Davante Adams, I would demand a trade. Or at least I go to Mark Davis and say, me or McDaniels, because this is not working. The Raiders are failing him. He's too good of a player to be wasted on that organization right now. Still, don't get your hopes up. The Raiders, if they trade Adams, it means McDaniels is probably still going to get fired either way at some point. So it feels unlikely. I would love it. If they can have my 2 and Gallup, and if they want a day 3 pick in the future, sure, that's fine. I'm just not going to get my expectations or hopes up for that perspective. Now, a more feasible name might end up being Jaylon Johnson. Still probably a bigger name than will likely go down, but there's real traction here. Jaylon Johnson has requested a trade. The Bears and Johnson were working on an extension that appears to have failed. And Johnson late last night requested the trade. Now his agent is working through various scenarios. The Bears granted his agent permission to go seek a trade too. Might happen, might not happen. But this is now a name on the block, and it's the biggest gettable name on the block. The teams that have been linked from Benjamin Albright and ESPN's Jeremy Fowler. The Cowboys, the Niners, that's from Albright and Fowler. The Steelers from Fowler. The Bills from Albright. Cowboys are Albright too. And the Eagles, which, I would not be a fan of that one because Johnson's a stud. This is a damn good football player, folks. He's got a 1 TD allowed. He's a lockdown corner. Again, I'm not going to get hopes up here. Probably not going to happen. But a Johnson, Diggs, I think it's Johnson will get paid. Bland trio long term. Oh my God, it's the best cornerback room in the field. And for the short term, you're back to being great again. Not that you've been bad so far. So will the Cowboys make a trade? Y for yes, N for no. Sound off for me in the comments section. Y or N if the ad comes here on YouTube. A bunch of trade targets we'll get to. You can kind of pick and choose if you want to go to some of the supporting graphics there, producer Chris, so we can, pick up some speed and pace here. Azeez Al-Shaair. This is the Titans linebacker. Marquise Bell's playing well. I don't know if you have to get a linebacker now. This is a guy I'd call about. He's been really good this year, and he's super cheap. Now, the way that Tennessee played last week against the Falcons means maybe they don't sell the way I thought they were going to. If they are, this is a much more gettable name than Derrick Henry. Another name we've talked about before, Josey Jewell, the Broncos linebacker. I'll make this note right now. We are past the deadline in which you are able to restructure contracts from the original team. Had to do it, the day before. Jewell's owed $5 million total. Prorated figures 2.5, 3-ish. So it's not too bad. Denver also now is kind of hot. They almost beat the Chiefs one week. Then they beat them, and they have a win in between those two games. So Denver's kind of scrapping and clawing, and maybe they won't sell the way I thought they were going to. All right, Jordan Hicks, the linebacker, he's due $3.5 million this year. Checks off a lot of the boxes. It's easy. It's simple. He fills a hole. He's a good run stopper, can do some coverage stuff for you. Probably better than Damone Clark right now. Isn't that expensive? And unfortunately, with Kirk Cousins tearing his Achilles, as heartbreaking as that is, probably time for Minnesota to consider selling. All right, Frankie Luvo, again, not that expensive. You're looking at maybe $2.5 million over the course of the season. Can do some blitzing stuff for you. They've been putting some Micah over the middle at inside linebacker to rush, and they've been putting like Damone Clark on the outside. Well, Frankie Luvo in that spot is much better. This guy can get at the quarterback, 7 sacks back in 2022, 3.5 this year. So the numbers are not that dissimilar pace-wise. You can just kind of double it, and you're in a similar trajectory right there. I like Luvo. Panthers are sellers on defense. They could be buyers, though, on offense. Now, today's show is made possible by Prize Picks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. It's you against the numbers. You're not battling thousands of other players, the pros, the sharks, etc. You pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and you watch those winnings roll in. Still a few more games. In theory, you'll be able to mix and match MLB and NFL, but you can cross over for all sports as well. Here are my prize picks this week. Give me more than Joe Burrow passing yards. He is back, and the Bills secondary is not that great. Isaiah Pacheco, more than rushing yards. The Dolphins' run defense is not very good. I think he pops off. And the Cowboys should keep feeding CeeDee Lamb in the slot and on the outside. Give me more than receiving yards for him against Philadelphia. I really like that trio picks right there. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS. Links will be in the comments in the description of today's show. We'll go quickly on Garrett Bowles here. Won't spend much time. He's due $14 million, which means it's just not going to happen. The Cowboys would have to pay him around that $7.5, $8 million figure, and that's just going to be too much for him for what they want to do. Also sounds like Chuma Edoga, who is bad the first drive and then settles in, should be back this week and might even have Tyron Smith back. Although it's Cowboys, they lie about injuries. More offensive linemen here. Michael Onwenu, the Patriots offensive guard. I love him. His run blocking grade is down this year. I would not read very much into that. It's been a iffy year for the Patriots up front overall. I think you have a good football player when it's all said and done, and he can play all over the line for you too. Cody Whitehair is available, but the deadline to restructure a deal passed, and no one's paying him $5-ish million with how bad Whitehair has looked this year. This is a formerly good football player. Maybe some bumps and bruises have kind of caught up to him, but he's not played very well. Kenny Moore, money's an issue here. If you wanted a better nickel corner, Kenny Moore really stands out. He is still one of the best nickel corners in the entire NFL. This is a dude that can tackle. If you want someone to be a better tackler than maybe a Jordan Lewis is, Kenny Moore thrives. Not that Lewis is a bad tackler, to be clear. I mean, Kenny Moore makes plays nonstop, interceptions, pass breakups, TFLs, tackles. Dude is the definition of a dog on the inside. I've been very impressed with him over the course of his career. Indy could sell. I think the money might be an issue for Dallas, though. If the Cowboys make a trade, we will bring. Plus, we'll be live. We'll be live for it if it happens. We'll be live later on today. TBD in the timing, maybe around 2 p.m., somewhere in that range, 2 hours before the deadline, Eastern. Hit that sub button, youtube.com/@CowboysTV. Christian Fulton, by the way, had a bounce-back game this past week against the Tennessee Titans, or for, I should say, the Tennessee Titans. He's looking a little bit better out there at corner. He has struggled so far this season as he enters the final year of his contract. He has not been the same dynamic, game-making player we saw previously. I don't know if he's going to be on the market. And if it is, I think it'd be very cheap, by the way. All right, let's merge Courtland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy into one here. Both Jeudy and Sutton have been heavily linked in NFL trade rumors for a full calendar year, frankly. They were on the block this time last year with Jeudy. It seemed like he was close to getting dealt, and then the Chase Claypool trade really messed everything up, which is kind of hilarious there. Guaranteed money between this year and next year is actually not that different. Jerry Jeudy's deal is fully guaranteed next year. Sutton's making a bunch of money this year. Sutton's been better, though. He's got more red zone success. Jeudy kind of got going a bit against the Chiefs when they scored a TD, but I don't think Sutton gets dealt, at least to Dallas. I doubt Jeudy gets dealt to Dallas either. I just wonder if this is going to be a situation where maybe Denver holds more than we thought they were going to. All right, if you were the Cowboys, who would you rather trade for? CS for Courtland Sutton, JJ for Jerry Jeudy, or O for somebody else at wide receiver? Sound off in the comments. Hunter Renfrow, this is a player the Raiders should trade. Maybe it's a one-for-one swap for an edge rusher somewhere. Cowboys use Lamb more on the outside. Makes me more open to putting Renfrow on this team. Finally got a little bit more involved last night. I wonder if that was a showcase game because Renfrow and McDaniels seem to not be getting along very well. But his numbers, we went from a 1,000-yard receiver to a guy in 18 games is barely past 400. That's a joke. McDaniels is a clown, as my boy Mitchell Renz likes to point out. Deonta Foreman, well, he's set to make $2 million this season and has been inactive at points. So if you want a veteran running back, I think you could call in that category. Not sure it's going to happen, but that's a good name to consider. I will also mention Ezekiel Elliott, just for you guys, because I know how you guys tend to operate and everything. He has been the backup for the Patriots, a team that will not be contending. They are a non-contender, and frankly, he is the exact same guy you let go of in Dallas. The yards per carry is nearly identical. The workload is down. And he had the one big run that was called back and would have helped the average out a little bit, but this is a 4-ish yard per carry guy. That's who he is. And the O-line, I think, in New England's probably still a bit better. I know they've had a bunch of injuries. I don't have any interest here. I'd rather try to get an offensive lineman, if I could, as tough as that can be. So would you bring back Zeke? T for trade, P for pass. Sound off for me in the comment section right now. It's T for trade, P for pass. We'll go quick on some of these names here, but we won't go to all of our graphics. Danielle Hunter, in the last year of his deal, he's playing super well. Some conflicting reports if Minnesota will trade him. Probably too expensive for the Cowboys. Marquise Brown, meanwhile, he's drawn some interest, but I suspect the Cardinals will keep him to help out Kyler Murray once he returns. Cordero Patterson is a little bit expensive. If you had lost Devontae Turpin, like I thought you might have lost him with was a high ankle sprain, then all of a sudden it wasn't, actually. Patterson would have made more sense. He probably stays landed because Arthur Smith is weird anyway. And then we'll spend a bit more time here on Dalvin Cook because I know people are going to ask about him. The new team would pick up Cook, owes him the pro-rated $7 million, so $4 million for a dude averaging under 3 yards a carry. He's been a horrible signing. The man is cooked. I would rather have Ezekiel Elliott. Finally, we'll mix in Chase Young and Montez Sweat together. I think there's a very good chance that one of Chase Young or Montez Sweat end up getting dealt today. Maybe a team like Jacksonville steps up. The Commanders are like, oh, we're going to see them against the Eagles if we're sellers, and then they lost. They won't trade both. The tricky part is you trade away one, you're probably getting yourself fired if you're head coach Ron Rivera. But maybe get that third-round pick back could certainly make some sense from that perspective. Both players are high-end impact guys. I think it costs at least a day 2 pick. Name a player that you guys want to trade for. Any player, somewhat realistic. Some of the names I know you're going to say we're about to get to, but drop that name or names in the comments section. All right, rapid fire. Players you should not get your hopes up. Patrick Surtain, I don't think he was ever getting moved. Not going to happen. Derrick Henry, he's been linked. Tennessee did not restructure the contract. Seems highly unlikely. Aaron Donald is a dog. I would love him. He's special. I was trolling on Twitter with the locker room bit because it's what Earl Thomas did. I'd be blown away if they traded him away here. Saquon Barkley, Giants are going to keep him because he's the one good piece on offense. Seems like Josh Jacobs won't go anywhere either, despite the Raiders being a dumpster fire. Kyle Pitts, also not available, even though the Falcons are weird with their usage. And Brian Burns, big name, might fetch a first-round pick if the Panthers shopped him. I don't think they will today, though.